Hello, it's the Spanner Man. He's back. Right, today we're going to be looking at the first episode of the Dick Turpin TV series, starring Richard O'Sullivan, Michael Deeks, David Dacre. Right, when I say 1, 2, 3, go, I'm on the episode page next to the main title of The Black Swan. So when I say play, we'll watch the first episode of the series called Swiftnick. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go! Here we go. I always remember this music when I was a kid. I used to love this song, piece of music. Just so evocative of my youth, about 1980, 1978, 79. Just moving into a council house nearby, which in England is a house given to you by the government. It was lovely, yeah. Ooh, I think someone told me someone was murdered in the house, so that was even lovelier, wasn't it? I think it was my mum and dad as a joke. But it was really dark and dingy. It looked like someone had died in it. So they dragged me away from this Dick Turpin to go and have a look at a house that really looked like a dump. Anyway, Richard Carpenter made this. He did Robin of Sherwood. And here we are, there goes the horses. The first episode's called Swiftnick, which of course is the fabled assistant of Dick Turpin in this series. Charles Crichton, there you are, the director of note. He did A Fish Called Wanda, which was great stuff. I liked Fish Called... There's Swiftnick there, played by Michael Deeks. Yeah, Charles Crichton, he was a great director. He directed A Fish Called Wanda and some 50s Ealing classics with Alec Guinness. Famous mostly for Star Wars, I suppose. Who's in that disguise with all the money there? Oh, methinks, eh? Could it be Mr. O'Sullivan? Spoilers. Oh, here he comes. Striker. David Dacre, he's a great actor of the 70s, 80s, really. I suppose that was his main time. But yeah, this was based on the actual it was like Robin of Sherwood, really, which Carpenter also did. I mean, he did Robin of Sherwood, and that was highly sort of stylised, sort of fairy tale, weird, sort of strange programme. Anyway, I might do some of them in the future. But this is a sort of romanticised version of Dick Turpin, sort of like Robin Hood of the fables, I suppose. Making Robin Hood the actual hero, robs from the rich to feed the poor and all that sort of thing. This was so this started when this series started when the original Dick Turpin was supposedly hanged at York. They wanted to set it there so that they could say it wasn't really him that got killed at York. It was someone who pretended to be him, and this was gonna be the new Dick Turpin adventures, the fables you never heard about, so they could start with a clean slate and didn't have to recount history in real historical terms, I suppose. Christopher Benjamin, another stalwart of the 70s and 80s and the 90s and the noughties, I think. He's been everywhere. But massively remembered to Doctor Who fans as Henry Gordon Jago from Talons of Weng Chiang, another classic Doctor Who story, and The Unicorn and the Wasp of the new series, not such a classic episode. More renowned for its name in every Agatha Christie book ever known, I think, than actually being a good story with giant wasps flying about. Yeah, Gaga episode. Also, he was in a couple of episodes of The Prisoner. I've done a commentary for the first episode of The Prisoner. And so here they go. They're giving you the background of Dick Turpin actually being hung at York. Or hanged, sorry, as Sherlock episode 3 of the first series would say. Hanged. Don't get your pronouns and your nouns and whatever's wrong, you know. How could I? Anyway, they're going on about the guy had to pretend to be Turpin all the way up to the end because they were flowing flowers onto the scaffolds and everything. And if he didn't play up to the role, he would just be discarded. So the real Dick has escaped. And he's wandering around in the woods wearing a white wig, and he's just about to get highwayed up by the young Swiftnick, the son of the landlady of the pub who can't afford to pay her rent. And seeing as the old boy is gonna, Christopher Benjamin's gonna use Striker to evict the lady of the landlady of the pub. Old Dick's gonna have to come to her assistance, isn't he? Dickie's got to come and help, eh? Love it. Yeah, I remember him, Christopher Benjamin, being a good protagonist in The Prisoner. Here comes Swift Nick to rob the solicitor or clergyman, whatever this is supposed to be. You can't tell that's Richard O'Sullivan at all, can you? There, he's doing a very good pretend. I think he's dubbing Michael Deeks here as well, so that he can pretend to be Dick Turpin, because everyone apparently wants to be Dick Turpin in this. They're all pretending to be Dick, and I think Dickie Sullivan there's got some cotton wool stuffed up his lips so he can look like Marlon Brando from The Godfather, I think. He's trying to do the same acting credentials. Got to keep it back to the camera. Charles Crichton's very clever here, because I don't think it's very convincing at all. He's got the old step-toe gloves on and everything. I wonder why they used to wear the triangle hats as well back in those days, as they tend to look like the green triangle sweets in Quality Street, I always think. I mean, it's all very romantic. I think it looks quite cool. Yeah, there's Richard O'Sullivan staggering around in the background. A heartthrob of the 70s, Mr. O'Sullivan. Oh dear, methinks Swiftnick's turned his back on the wrong person. Yeah, there you go. He's been caught at it. And there we are, Mr. O'Sullivan in all his glory. Started as a child actor. Was in Carry On Teacher and Cleopatra, playing the Pharaoh in Cleopatra, the young Pharaoh who's all sort of made up, because they filmed a lot of that film in England, I think, so Carry On Cleo could use the sets. I think that's why they're made here, for that reason entirely. But yeah, I always liked Richard O'Sullivan in this, and he's always been a comedic actor, being in Man About the House and Robin's Nest from the 70s, and various other comedies, always the comedy lead. And after this, he was in Me and My Girl, another famous comedy series from the 80s that ran around to about 1990, I think. But this is the one I remember him for, because this is sort of serious, and he's playing a hero, and he does it well. He's good at this sort of thing, and plays the sort of Robin Hood Dick Turpin very well. Oh, here comes Stryker, come to evict the landlady. Well, Dick's managed to hang on to his money, so maybe that'll come into play. What do you think? This actress is called Jo Rowbottom, I think, playing Dick's love interest, sort of. I mean, he had a love interest in every episode, I think. But she was in a few films. She's not bad, I suppose, but a bit rough. Probably looks quite rough now, I would think. Not that I'm ageist or sexist, obviously. I mean, I'd probably have gone with her once or twice, but not too many times. Oh, where's the money bunged on there? Take your 20 guineas. So this was based on the things. I mean, the real Dick Turpin was a complete villain. I mean, nothing like the sort of fairy tale we're given here. He was actually in a gang, the Essex gang. He was a thug. He shot people, killed people, maimed, you know. He was not a nice fellow, and he took to the roads and was a real highwayman. I don't know why he was romanticised in any way. I suppose it was just a romantic time, really. Things look. There he is, Sir John's got his money. She paid, she's allowed to stay, we can put the rent up. Spoilers. He wanted to chuck her out, old Stryker. He's great at the villain. He's great at these period things, David Dacre, because he was in The Time Warrior, as in Doctor Who, and The Nightmare of Eden. The Nightmare of Eden being a bit rubbish, but The Time Warrior, a pretty good classic from John Pertwee's last year, playing Iron Gron. He was great in that, probably the most memorable character from that, apart from the Sontarans' first appearance. He was the memorable villain. He was great in that. A mighty shanked rascal with a mighty nose, I think he called Pertwee in that one. He's a great villain. And he later went on to Boone after this, the great Michael Elphick series, where Boone was a sort of motorbike delivery man, the start of Neil Morris's proper career, I think, the man from Men Behaving Badly, which was a big hit over here in the 90s, comedy programme. Michael Elphick being a fairly big star and a sort of heartthrob in the 80s, I think, even though he ended up, I think he was a drinker then, he was a massive alcoholic, and ended up a complete drunk in the future as well, and got chucked out of EastEnders for being a complete pisshead, I think, and not getting on with Barbara Windsor from all those Carry On films. Oh, here he goes, Sir John. Oh, here comes someone. Is it Dick doing the proper on old Black Bess that he rode to York on? Overnight in one journey. I think he would have killed the horse if he'd have gone that far overnight, wouldn't he? From York to London. Driving it's far enough, let alone going on a horse. Oh, Sir John, he's in trouble here, isn't he? He's going to take the money back. Oh dear, Swiftnick tried to warn him and did what he always does in most episodes. Gets Dick in trouble. Spiker's after you, Spiker. That's it, Spiker, not Strike. See, I'm really good at these commentaries. I know you're going to be listening with rapt ears. To hell with Spiker, I want my 20 guineas back, so he's after him. See, if everyone knew who he was, why does he always wear that red mask? I mean, I know it disguises everyone else, but is that really... I suppose it's so the horse rider can ride the horse, because I don't suppose that's Richard O'Sullivan on the horse. You see him mount and dismount, but I don't think they actually ride anywhere. Probably got Stuart Fell on there, or another stuntman from Doctor Who to Terry Walsh, probably, to put wigs on and pretend to be horsemen and everything. Some red coats, is it? From the old 1740, where this is set. 1739, just after. There he goes. Whoever's riding that horse is doing a good job. I don't think it's Dickie O'Sullivan, unless he was trained at stage school to ride horses like that. Because he's definitely getting a fair old lick on. Must have been easier in the late 70s, early 80s to film these. Not so many pylons in the way and electrical satellite dishes about on trees and that. And the old lanes, it does look pretty good. It's very authentic. Looks like the swashbuckling Dr. Sin type times, you know. Another Patrick McGoohan Disney series which I liked when I saw in the early 80s when I was a kid. It was made in the 60s, I think. There you go. Sir John Glutton's going to be relieved of his Glutton. Good name. And he's great at this, talking like a pirate, is Sir John. He likes putting his accent on like a pirate. I mean, Richard Carpenter, who wrote this, has only just passed, actually. 2012. He obviously like romanticising these heroes of the past, you know. What else did he do? He did Catweasel, which was a sort of pseudo-historical type comedy thing with Geoffrey Bayldon, which I thought was great fun. Oh, there's Dick getting his 20 guineas back. Thank you, Sir John. Why does he still got his mask on? He knows what he looks like. He knows that's Dick Turpin. Well, I don't suppose he does yet, because I suppose he's pretending to be dead still in this episode only. He's got a hand over his rings. Oh, he's murdered me. He's took me rings. Look at that. He's brilliant at playing the old slob. Oh, Christopher Benjamin. And that's why I always remembered. I was always quite scared of him because of this character. But watching him as Sir Keith Gold in Inferno of Doctor Who, totally different. Playing a posh sort of character. Played, you know, a very good character, an alternative guy. He's murdered me and then he's took me money. That's brilliant. But a complete sort of posh gent in Inferno and a goodie who got killed in the alternative universe and survived in the saying that the parallel universes things can be played out differently. I mean, Inferno is probably one of the best Pertwee stories, but 7 episodes far too long, obviously. You could edit that down to about 4 episodes now easily, I think, and get rid of loads. Oh, here we go. Dick's got to console the lady with the length of his wisdom. He's gonna shaft her with a sword, maybe. Oh, misses. Naughty, over the PG rating. Doing that Carry On tumour, although that had just come to an end, I think, Carry On in 78, 79. They killed a young girl, they hung a young girl for nicking bread or something, who was about 9 at the time. And there you go, he's come back to his, after fighting for England, so there's more Robin Hood references there. Come back from fighting for England, where his farm was taken by Glutton, and he was turfed out, what a homecoming and all that. So it's definitely romanticising Mr. Dick Turpin here. Anyway, so he's saying there's no justice in it. Well, nothing's changed, does it really? There's no justice in any country, really, is there? Enough of the anarchy. But the real Dick Turpin was caught out by actually being caught and using his pseudonym of Richard Turner, I think. Being caught on something else, sending a letter back to his brother or brother-in-law or something. And for bail money to get him out, and actually being caught out by the postmaster who had actually taught Turpin how to write. So he recognised the writing, sent word back to London they'd got Dick Turpin, and caused the hanging. So what a bit of bad luck for the highwayman, eh? Even though I don't suppose we could shed many tears for him. He was a complete thug after all, wasn't he? Like all. But then everyone was a thug in 1738, I suppose. So doesn't really matter. So I don't think Dick's going to get his jollies. He's got to save Swiftnick. You know what you're saying, woman? There's sexism from the... Well, I suppose the 1730s would have been sexist, but the late 70s weren't much better, were they? No, Mary, bit of bad acting from Dickie there. No, I think he could have brought that off with a bit more conviction. But I think as this is the pilot, the first episode, they're all finding their characters, I suppose. And, trying to get some... But, Richard O'Sullivan, a good actor. Carry On Teacher, Man About the House, Me and My Girl. I loved all those in the 80s and the late... I didn't like Robin's Nest so much. I mean, I saw Man About... Oh, here he is doing the old lame ducking. I mean, they might have fallen for this back then, but would they... Oh, I'm dying, I got the plague. He wants to get taken in. I think he's got hold of the doctor here. A medical doctor, not the doctor, obviously. I think our friends at Tisto and Zarbin will be saying I'm like another Englishman obsessed with Doctor Who, but I don't think any of us podcasters are not obsessed with Doctor Who, really. Oh, here he is. He's stealing the identity of the Doctor now. He's going to go and get the Plague Man now. I'm going to say there's a load of plague going on in the jails. Aye, I'm going to be a Scotsman, a cod Scotsman, another wig. It must have been so easy to disguise yourself back in the 1740s. I mean, all you've got to do is put a wig on and a triangle quality street suite and a fluffy ruffle. I mean, I suppose this is where John Pertwee gets his outfit from, really, all the ruffles and that, and the big white fluffy wig. He's going to be the apothecary, the doctor, the medical doctor to go down to the jail. Yes, so he did Catweasels, Richard Carpenter, and Sherwood Forest, which was good. Robin of Sherwood. Although I didn't really enjoy Robin of Sherwood, I watched a couple of episodes and found it a bit dull. Michael prayed in it, and later Sean Connery's son, Jason. No, I didn't like it. I found it all a bit too stupid, a bit like Excalibur, the movie, the John Boorman movie. Seemed to come out of the same universe with all the fairy tale stuff, and at least this is, even though romanticised, only romanticised, there's no sort of ghosts and ghouls, and it's a bit postmodern in some of its jokes, I think. Yeah, the plague, everyone's going to be dead. So he doesn't recognise Dick Turpin at all. He's face to face with him. There's only a wig to disguise him. Oh dear. And Sir John doesn't recognise him at all. Of course not. You wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't recognise your enemy, your greatest enemy. Right there in front of you. Wig does wonders for you. I wonder if I stuffed a wig on my head, I'd be sorted like that. He's dead. Gone like that. Oh dear. Oh, we're trying to get the doctor off the tree. Oh, here comes Spiker, luckily enough, riding along on his horse at exactly the place where the other guy got taken in. He's going to get Swiftnick out by pretending he's got the plague now, then. That's what escaping him. He's taking some buddy from Sir John willingly this time. And would they have had such a good load of food there, being as he only like the sheriff of the county, Sir John? I'm not sure, But this series, I mean, it ran for 4 years. And there was this sort of episodic form, this good sort of serial. I mean, it's like a Saturday serial, Sunday morning serial from the past, like my dad used to watch at the cinemas, the old Zorros and things like that. It's basically what this is, I think. This is like the Zorros and the King of the Rocket Men, but a sort of late, and it's sort of a Doctor Who type format, with those 25-minute episodes with advert breaks. But this used to wheel along at a great pace. I used to love this when I was a kid. Because they were in the process of moving house at the time, moving into a bigger house, and we must have moved during that time because I watched the series at the house before and moved to the new house with the next series. I know they made an American one, Dick Turpin's Great Adventure, where they all went to America for that one. I think Lady Out of Dynasty was in a few of those. Not Dynasty, Dallas. I can't remember the character she played in Dallas because I didn't watch a lot of Dallas when I was young. Here we go. Now this guy in the back there standing by the bars released the prisoner because he's got the plague. I think he was in a few of these playing a sort of the extra guard. Michael Deeks there, I think this is all he's really famous for. This is all he made a big name of, with these big curly fluffy hair like I had in the 90s, a mullet type thing going on. But perfect for the period, I suppose. But I saw him in a House of Horror, Michael Deeks, playing some kind of like horror film director who gets a curse put on him and gets shot by an arrow. One of the weaker episodes of that Hammer House of Horror series, I think. Although I quite like that series, it was quite well made. I mean, it's probably made by the same people. It's got that same sort of filmic look to it. I mean, this is all done on films, obviously. Oh, there goes Dick. He's having a fight with Spiker or Striker. Here we go. Go on. He's no trouble. And knock him out with a shield off the wall. Here we go. And that's what Turpin ends up being. Instead of being a great archer like Robin Hood, he's a great fencer, a great swordsman. Here we go. Look at this stuff, eh? And they must have all been taught this at stage school, I suppose. But it's well done. This is all good. You know, swashbuckling. Really piratey Johnny Depp, but better, I think, than, you know, that Johnny Depp stuff. Maybe Johnny Depp took a bit of this away, watched a few of these, seeing as he's quite obsessed with English comedy and television programmes, I think. But here he goes, he's fighting with him, and he's going to take him. Is that Richard O'Sullivan there with his back to us? Or a stuntman? Are they? Yeah, no, that's him, doing it himself. God. Better than Star Trek from the 60s when William Shatner was replaced by the man with the ropey wig. Oh, sorry, Shatner did have a ropey wig, didn't he? But a ropey extra used to get full-on face. Here we go, let's swing from that chandelier. We won't, we'll jump over the balcony instead. Still romantic, though. You can take them all out. Richard, oh, he's knocked out Sir John with the old sleeping potion, so he won't be a problem anymore. Look at this, this fencing stuff is really good. I bet they had a good... Wonder if it was David Prowse. It's around the same sort of time. The guy who taught David Prowse and Mark Hamill and Alec Guinness to fight in Star Wars. Wonder if it was the same fighter ranger. Oh dear, not much good against the guns though, eh? Oh, too late to shoot. That's Terry Walsh back there, I think. They are our famous Doctor Who stuntman. I think he looked like that in The Monster of Peladon when he was taking off John Turpin. You saw a complete facial shot of him. Yeah, that's Terry Walsh there in the background behind Richard O'Sullivan, not David Dacre. Drop your weapons and let me out or I'll chop your head off. Oh, this is great stuff. An old Spiker there with the scar above his eyes. And of course these are old campaigners. They used to be in the war together in Gibraltar when later on when the John Hallam character comes in for the episode as Moat, the evil whip colonel man. Oh, they are. Put the curtain over his head and run for it. Woo! I'm out. Didn't even get to kiss the lady. Go on, Swiftnick. We're off. We're going to go and hide in the woods now. Oh, he's going after him. Did he do something? Oh, he took the saddle off. There you go. Another cliche. Another classic. Love it. And it's off into the sunset. That looks like around the back of where my dad lives, actually. The Black Swan Pub. So he's got to take Swiftnick away as his new partner because he can't live there with his mumsy anymore. With old Joe Rowbottom, like that name. Mr. Rumsbottom. So here we go. Don't call me Mr. Turpin. He does that a lot throughout the series as well, I think. I think we're coming to the wrap-up here. It's raining, the old English rain with the horses. Black Bess. I used to love those flowing black things they used to wear. They did this well in Blackadder 3 as well. It was sort of a bit like this, all Edward, whenever the time was. 1800s. I don't know. I'm not a history buff. Just like it. Just like the look of it. Just romanticised, looking cool. I think Blackadder did become a highwayman in one of them, didn't he? With Miranda Richardson being the highway lady, who hates the squirrels. Bastards! Here they go. I think we'll wrap it up. They're riding off. He's found himself a new partner, Swiftnick, who's going to drop him in the crap many a time. Oh, here's the closing credits, which I love this bit of music. This reminds me of my youth so much, 7 or 8. Used to go outside on my bike pretending to be a highwayman, putting a mask on. Belt round my eyes. Oh God, how embarrassing. I must have done a complete twat. But this is so cool and well done with the cloud machine and everything, okay? God, I love it. The light, doesn't matter about the light in particular. I was looking for the stunt thing, but never mind. Do 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 do. And there's the hangman's noose waiting for Mr. Dick. Like Carry On Dick as well, with Sid James doing the Dick Turpin. Oh, here we go. Hold it up. Mr. Turpin. Created by 3 people. I think Paul Knight wrote a few of these as well. Excellent. Love it. I think we might do some more of those in the future, eh? If you're up for it. Well, thanks for listening. We reached the end. We're back to the title screen. I hope we can do this again sometime. This is the Spanner Man signing off. If you like it, let me know. Woo! See you, boys.